Well, good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, March 18th.
My favorite day of the week.
It is my favorite day of the week.
I get to hang out with Bill Kirk.
I get to hang out with Brian Hurley. We get to have fun.
We do.
You spend a lot of time during the week behind a camera. I spend a lot of time during the week in front of a camera, and we do it for work. And then this is actually a labor of love.
This is a labor of fun too. This is one of those things I look forward to. There's very few productions during that. And look, I love my clients. I'm grateful for the work. It's very rare that I go, God, I can't wait for that live stream tonight.
Yeah, right.
God, I can't wait for that shoot.
That's right.
This is one where it's like, no, let's sit and hang out with some of my favorite people. So,
hey, everyone, we're collectively Crimson. And if you're not a member of the Cougar Collective, what's up with that? Linked up in the description box below is how you can join the 1890 Club. And if you want to give a little bit more, we have absolutely no objection to that. We'll do some quick shout outs for our boys over at the Couch GM.
Yep.
If you're not checking out Couch GM, they've been good to us. Y'all need to be good to them.
Absolutely.
Pullman Vintage Market. Let's remind everyone that when you go over to buy some really cool stuff at Pullman Vintage Market, a portion of the proceeds are going right back to the Cougar Collective. So help them out. And of course, we got to give a shout out to Cougs First Business Network.
Yep.
And our big show next month.
It's coming up.
That
one I'm kind of stressed about because that's a lot of moving wires.
But here's the deal. We're going to try to do this one on location, which is going to be cool because what's our plan for the fall?
We're gonna try to do some live streams from the tailgate,
from the RV lot.
Yes.
Yeah. And if we could pull that off, that would be a small miracle considering how many unadulterated disasters we've had as far as technical difficulties already.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, that one I think we can make it happen, and I'm picturing it right from where Ron and Matt Mira and Wade, they're all just camped out there.
I think we should do like a mini college game day. Bring a couple guest pickers on and stuff like that. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Right?
Here's another pitch because
let's hear your pitch.
We're trying to get.
You are a pitch guy, so let's hear it.
Well, okay. So, we work with a lot of hot tub advertisers. What if we did it from a hot tub?
I'm not opposed to that.
You and me, two good-looking dudes in a hot tub.
Yeah, two good-looking dudes in a hot tub.
We'd have to wear those rash guards.
I got a better idea if you want to encapsulate hot tubs. What do I think we should do is have a rep from one of these companies bring a hot tub down, set it up, get it rolling.
Okay.
We can put that in the back of the set, and then we could get some people who are perhaps better suited to be hot tub models than you and I.
Better looking without their... Yes.
I'm just saying better suited to be hot tub models, right?
Yes.
I'm in my latter half of my 50s now, so my days of even dreaming of being a hot tub model disappeared about 30 years ago,
I don't know,
brother.
that Zep-bound shot has been a game changer for me, so I'm ready to show off, dude.
All right. But I do like what we have for a show tonight, and it's going to be a little bit different, and it's something that you want to talk about how we actually came up with this idea, because it wasn't you or I that came up with this idea. It was your wife and my wife.
It was it was the wife. That's right. It was a
simultaneous.
Yes.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, after we did our cast, because we couldn't do one last week, I was out on a road trip, and I'm literally driving home from the studio and talking to Mrs. Kirk, and she's like, what would be a really good group of people to get on would be the Hilinski family. And I was like, wow, that would be different, but we care so much about the Hilinski family, and they've, once you're a member of the Cougar family, you're a member of the Cougar family forever. And so I sent you a text, I think that night or the next day. Hey, my wife came up with this idea. What do you think? And your response was?
We were having the exact same conversation at the exact same time.
Yeah.
I mean, the work that that Hilinski's Hope does is amazing. Listening to them talk about their organization and their son is amazing. We were both stunned that it's been 8 years since Tyler passed. And like, wow, that feels like it was just a snap. But then also think about how many new people have come into the Coug fold since then. I think for a lot of us who were already in the community when that happened, we're very aware of Hilinski's Hope.
Will stay with us forever too. Yeah.
But I'm excited for for younger Cougs to kind of learn what this is all about.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
I think it's really important because part of being a Coug is we look out for each other. As we always say, we're the only thing we got, but we're the only thing we ever need is each other.
Yep.
And I think that what the Hilinski family has done and how they can educate the Cougar family to continue to look out for each other is going to be a very powerful and valuable message tonight.
I'm very excited.
And then we also got Pat Thompson,
who's just a delight to talk.
She's going to talk about that troublemaker brother of hers, isn't she?
You know, my favorite thing about Pat is that she's the only person who's not impressed with her brother. Have you ever been around her while everybody's just oohing and on?
Yeah, oohing and on, and she's like whatever. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I got stories on him. We're going to get some of them out of her. And then I do got to tell you, not only after we're done with I reached out to General Kirby Moore.
Okay.
And I told him, I say, we're going to have the Hilinskis on tonight. So can you do us a message that really is about Cougs, looking out for Cougs?
Yeah.
And I got to tell everyone, the General has knocked it out of the park tonight. And I would highly recommend when that time comes around, all of you grab a tissue. I think it's that good.
Okay.
Okay. And you know me, I'm not into hyperbole and stuff like that. So when I tell you it's that good, I really think it's fantastic.
Can I just compliment you on what a showman you are and just convincing this internet meme personality that shouldn't just be good for a couple yucks to do something meaningful. Dang, Bill. Dang.
Hey, well, no, big shout out to General Kirby Moore, who, by the way, you're going to ask me. No, I do not know who he is. I still do not know who he is.
If you have guesses as to who General Kirby Moore is, I've put all my guesses. Here's who I've guessed. I'm going to tell people who I've guessed so far.
Okay.
I guessed CJ McCoy.
Which was a good guess.
Look, there's not a lot of big vocabulary guys in our circle.
But we had a way of testing because remember at one point the General had told me he was on a road trip and he had told me where he was. And so we contacted CJ to find out where he was at.
I don't remember that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is the lawyer detective mind in me, right? The General's like, oh, I'm on a business trip I'm not going to say where he was, but he told me the location. So I reached out to CJ. It was like, yo, man, where are you at right now? Right. And he was not where the General was. So I think that I've disproven CJ McCoy.
I also have strong suspicions for Matt Loveless.
That's a good one.
So if you don't know Matt does.
But General tells me he lives in the East Coast. I've been told by the General that he's an East Coast time zone guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, I mean, if it's Loveless, I mean, he's not under contractual obligation to tell me the truth about this stuff.
Here's the problem: is Loveless comes from that, Edward R. Murrow School of Journalism,
journalistic integrity,
man of integrity. So when he looked me in the eye and said, seriously, though, I'm not him.
I believe
it.
I believe Loveless.
Now, I thought it was you and your son for a while too.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. I mean, if that stuff is so well done that if it were me, I probably would want to take credit for it, to be honest with you, because I think it's so well done.
But you made me a promise before the cameras went on tonight, which was, if you find out, what are you going to do?
I would only tell one other person, and it only is if I got the General's permission, and that would be you.
Yes. Which means the entire internet would know, because I can't keep a secret.
Yeah, that's something I learned tonight, is Hurley's really bad at lying, which means, or holding secrets, I should say, because, right?
I told you, I am so proud of myself for not being any source for a Coug fan ever. And I love you, Greg, but I'm never his source. And that is a crowning achievement in my life.
I will tell you that I have been the source of a lot of news stories on Coug fan. A lot.
Every time we're reading a Coug fan article and it says, well, according to a collective insider, it's
no, because my stories is it started. Well, according to Mr. Delora's attorney, William Kirk, right? According to Mr. Williams' attorney, William Kirk, right? Do we got our guests here yet? Are we okay? So, Brian, you're a journalism guy. You're a media guy.
I've been journalist adjacent my entire career. Yeah.
Well, you're going to appreciate this. So, what I have found as a criminal defense attorney that sometimes has to manage crises is that occasionally media wants to know what's going on, but because journalism as a whole is now a race to be who's first rather than a race to be who's right. There's a lot of cutting and pasting going on in journalism right now. So let's say I have a story about a Cougar student athlete that maybe had some issues with the law and we're resolving them. And I want a story to have a very objective and positively pro-Coug spin on it. Because as an attorney, when you're handling this kind of stuff, you're managing a lot more than just the case itself.
Yeah.
Right. You're managing the entire crisis. And you're talking about student athletes, sometimes in high profile positions on campus. Right. So let's say you just call a Greg Witter or Barry Bolton and say, hey, I got a story for you. Hypothetically. And let's say they run the story. What happens from there is I don't get a single call from any other publication in America after that.
Because they're just using that as a source.
They're using that as the source.
100%. Yep.
They don't send out their own independent reporters. The spokesman's not going to send somebody down to do his own independent investigation. And they don't have the money for it. I get that.
That's literally why we built this podcast studio, because it's so much easier for my clients when they're going through a PR, either opportunity or crisis.
Or management situation.
Hey, record it and send the video, because that's what they're going to take, is they're going to take whatever they can get first. And there will be very rarely a follow-up question.
Right.
So that was literally why we're sitting here right now.
Journalism has evolved in the last 20 years. Social media has really evolved.
Go with devolved, but yes.
Yes. I wouldn't disagree with that comment. I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that what we see on media today versus what we saw, I grew up with the Walter Cronkites and the Sam Donaldsons and the Tom Brokaws of the world, right? Great journalists. And I can't really, if we were to start listing off those types of journalists today, I think the list would be a lot shorter.
I was sitting down and we're just vamping a little bit while we wait for our guests here, but two thoughts. One, I want to get somebody from the Murrow School on the podcast just to talk about.
Why don't we get the president of the Murrow School, the dean of the Murrow School of Communications?
Who is the dean? Do you know?
Well, you're a Murrow grad. You tell me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm from the Department of Political Science, of which there's not even a name for it.
I dodge those calls, man.
Don't even know.
Yeah. No, we'll have to look that. I would love to have somebody from.
Well, that would be great, because that's that and the Vet Med is the two premier programs on the campus.
But I was sitting down with a mentor of mine. He's retired, but he used to run King Television. He was a head honcho, and we were talking about news and the state of news, and he gave me the quote. I loved it because I've always been a sales guy. I've never been a news guy. Right. So I always just kind of rolled my eyes when they started, getting all high and mighty. But but he said something really that he's like, I was like, how do you tell what's news now? Because that's a big question. What's news? And I love this answer. He said, if it's said with a smirk, it's not news.
Oh,
I really like that.
That's it. Yeah.
Where it's just like, all right, well then it's just an opinion piece or a propaganda piece or a zinger, but it's not news. I like that.
You know what else I think is a good telltale sign of when something may not actually be news is if the word however is included in it. It's like an apology. Any apology that has the word however in it is probably not a real good apology. Any news story that's followed by the big however is, well, that's what we're reporting. But let me tell you all how you need to think about this.
However,
hey, you know what? Let's change lanes here for a second. Yeah. Did you see some of the early Pac-12 football predictions?
No, I haven't looked at it.
Well, I got to tell you, and if John Canzano is out there checking us out, we'd love to have you on. But to all the folks that are picking the Pac-12 football, y'all don't know what the heck you're talking about. We were consistently picked third or fourth. And again, I'm not Pollyannish. I think I'm very realistic about it, but I actually think this team, if they're healthy, is going to be pretty damn good.
I do too. It's when you look at just the recruiting that they've done, we've had the guys on from the Couch GM. We've had Brad Larondo on. We've had Coach Moore. When you just talk about the skill set of of the guys that they're bringing in, awesome. But then you also talk to these players right now, and
you see the character of what we have in the locker room right
now.
Dude,
that to me is so. To give a frame of reference, I've talked to multiple players, because now they're doing spring training.
Yeah, they're in
spring ball.
They're in it big time. Yeah,
these kids haven't had a program like this in their career. They just it's Coach Moore is bringing a different and I hate to say it because I hate giving credit to the SEC, but he's bringing that SEC style.
Yeah, well, they're successful down there. They're successful programs, and that's what we're looking for.
These kids were saying they were just dreading going to the weight room because they were getting their butts kicked, and now they're getting used to it, kind of thing. So I'm pumped to see what happens because I think we've got some really cool.
I am
cool kids.
Really pumped. Well, we're gonna find out. Find out. You know what else I think we should do? I think we should get President Cantwell on here for the shortest interview we could possibly give, which we would just ask her what she thinks about Coach Jimmy Rogers.
I loved that hit.
You got like a president that's got a little saltiness.
That was
to her,
John, right? That did that article of like and the subheading was nobody's heard.
Nobody remembers who Jimmy Rogers was.
Brutal. But it was also like good on, and it's also.
Well, you remember the crisis management. She did a videotape statement from right there up in the club level of stadium, and she literally started off with something to the effect of, "Well, I don't know what that was, but
or whatever that was,
whatever that was, right?"
Well, I'd also say like, and it's a testament to her leadership. It's a testament to what's going on in the AD's office right now. And kind of, I hate the term swagger because it's so overused, but there is a confidence and a bar raising in mentality that's going on in our football program right now. It's really easy to be so optimistic before the season has started, but I love what I'm seeing from just an attitude style with everybody on this team I talk to. And and I'm not, look, you're talking to two guys who are pretty good at giving you the real deal. If we're not going to blow smoke here, but like, something about this coaching staff, they're different. Really like.
They're different.
Yes. And if you haven't had a chance to sit down with Brad Larondo, just do that.
You go run through a wall when you're done with him.
Exactly.
I mean,
you'll buy your tickets to the college football playoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like, is our guest here, Brandon? All right.
All right. Why don't you do the introductions here?
I am so excited. And Brandon, can you do me a favor? The audio should be on, but in case it's not, we want to just turn that audio up on the computer. I'm so excited to invite the Hilinski family on. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
We can.
Hi.
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Kim, Mark, how are you guys doing?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Are you out in South Carolina? What part of South Carolina are you in?
We're in Irmo, which is Richland County. It's about 20 minutes from Columbia.
Like Lake Murray, if you know that.
Well, so I might be doing a lot of business out in Columbia, South Carolina over the next year, and I'll be up in Greenville, South Carolina next month for some business.
Oh, sure.
Love it.
And I might bring my golf clubs with me because I noticed there's no shortage of golf courses out there.
No.
Right. That place is growing. That's it's a little over an hour from us.
It's beautiful.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we were talking about things before you joined us, and this might be a little bit of a difficult discussion tonight, but I think this is a really, really important discussion. But one of the things that Brian and I were taken back by when we were just doing a little research before we started tonight, it's been we lost Tyler over 8 years ago already.
That's right.
Wow.
It's it feels like yesterday sometimes, and it feels like 20 years ago other times, and I don't know how we got here, quite frankly. Some days are clearer than others, but we got into this work, to honor Tyler. We didn't know what we were doing and what we wanted to accomplish and stuff. But that has cleared up, nicely, and we've been really on this war path to bring awareness and reduce stigma and help educate. I saw from your area, at least, Dante Moore's quote the other day. I mean, it's impossible to tell you how pervasive this is. That we feel it as a crisis. We're firefighting at the collegiate level, getting kids to stay, sharing Tyler's story, encouraging them, giving them tools to help with that, of course. And, after 450 of these visits where we've done our Tyler talks, and it's just as relevant today or more so than it was even 8 years ago. And so a lot of good with it, some tough stuff is along the way as well, but we're glad to be doing it. We know that it's effective. We have stories, that we won't be able to share a bunch of, but that we know for a fact that if Tyler would have had some of this information,
we don't know for sure, but we think that our Tyler talks and sharing Tyler's story and journey maybe could change or save a life. And so that's all.
I'm positive you have saved lives already.
The mere possibility that it could is reason alone to do it.
Can we back up for just 1 second? With the 8 years, we were talking about this a little bit. Obviously those of us who have been Cougs for a long time, we remember this vividly, it's been long enough now that there's new Cougs in the fold who may not be as familiar with Tyler's story. I imagine most people watching this probably are, but just in case there's not, can you tell us a little bit about Tyler for those who aren't familiar with him?
We always fight over these questions. I get to answer all the questions about Tyler. You can do everything Hilinski's hope, but oh my God, Tyler was the middle of our three boys. So sweet and kind. He was a fierce competitor on the field, but off the field, we always thought he was a gentle giant. And he loved being a Coug. He just thought Pullman was a very special place, which it is. And our favorite hike was actually Kamiak Butte, if you've all ever been there. And Tyler and I, every time I would visit him in Pullman, we'd always go for that hike. When he played that game against Boise, the triple overtime game, I just remember, waiting for him and just throwing our arms around each other. And he asked me, Mama, did that just happen? And I remember thinking, oh my God, not everybody gets that, gets lifted on the shoulders, gets a triple overtime win. But the thing is, he was with me all night. He walked me back to my hotel. I think it was the Courtyard then, Residence Inn.
Yeah.
But he just a sweet. He was everybody's best friend, and he had a lot of best friends too. But you just can't help but love Tyler.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this question now that it's been 8 years, and this is going to be a tough question, but when you look back on it, what do you think was the biggest thing that got through the two of you through this? Because Brian and I are both parents too. And so the thought of, outliving one of your kids is a thing that I think all parents really just fear the most. And I can't imagine what you've both been through, but 8 years removed, what do you think was the biggest driving force to get you through this?
Yeah. Kelly and Ryan.
Yeah.
It's a crappy list, but on the list of things that are worse than what we went through and so many other families have gone through would be losing another one, right? And that is in terms of risks, sibling suicide, following a sibling suicide is difficult. And I think, as we look back on it, we don't talk about it as this part as much, but I think, we were so devastated and lost, and that I don't think we were terribly good in the moment, knowing that we were all suffering, and the kids themselves, obviously, Kelly was up in Utah and Ryan was going through his own, nutty recruiting stuff and playing the sport that Tyler, passed away playing, and it complicates and makes it, if it's possible, it makes it more difficult. But I would say 100% for me, it's Kim and the boys. And that's the only way that really helped to get us through, is to know that, just because you lose somebody, it doesn't. Just, but yeah. I'm sorry. Not just because you lose somebody, but you lose somebody, you have to find a way to keep breathing and walking and living. And so Mark's right. But you go through the stuff, right? You go through denial, and you go through disappointment, and in whatever order anybody takes those things anymore. But, I had a lot of anger, obviously, because I didn't understand. It made no sense to me whatsoever. And, you guys, we're all consumers. We see shows and documentaries, and you almost hear it 90% of the time. Oh, there's no way that person died by suicide because of all these things. And what we've learned through this process of trying to help others is, guess what? You can be the best looking, you can be the hardest throwing, you can be the fastest guy on the planet, and you can get cancer, and you can get a mental illness, and you can suffer and struggle like everybody else. And so you hear those things together, like, oh no, she was so beautiful. Like, what does that have to do with it? And the important part, though, I think, for the message we're trying to push out to the kids and let them, because the kids are amazing. I would say the second reason behind our kids are those kids, right? Is
for sure.
We can't get mad at coaches and parents and everybody else for not doing it before Tyler if we're not willing to do it after Tyler. So we're out making those rounds and having those discussions. And we're grateful to do it as hard as it is. But it's not, the idea was Tyler died without seeing anybody, without telling a soul, without seeing a counselor, of course, right? We don't have that file that he tried these medications and he went through this talk therapy. We don't know that answer. And so we're left with not a double whammy, but, the bomb keeps going off because you don't know what the reason was. What we're pretty sure of, because we lost all these things too, guys, right? Like the family was bought in. If there was one thing I look forward to when I traveled for work was being in, DFW or one of the bigger airports. And I dress the same way, all my Coug stuff on and hey, yeah, go Cougs. And you realize you lose that part too, which is, it sounds like a little thing, but it is actually a big thing because all the stuff we see now in NIL and the transfer portal, and you go talk to Tyler and, hey, what a, nice fight with Luke. And, I know you're, right on his heels and all those things. He never once thought about leaving. Like it was that kind, it wasn't a conversation. It was just, no, I'm sticking it out. I'll be fine. I love coach. I love being here. And so those are very real things. I know some of his teammates, worried, did I really know the kid? Obviously not very well if he died by suicide, but this is what happens when you're diagnosed with a disease that you don't know about and you don't get help or treatment for. Not that different from physical, liver kidney disease. Any disease. Right. Yeah, you can't do it. We don't expect you to do it on your own.
Right.
A couple questions. I think one, can you explain for the audience a little bit about your Tyler Talks and what those usually look like when you go into a school? Let's start there if you don't mind.
Sure. We had no idea what we were doing in the beginning, right? But we knew that, or we
kind of like this podcast. So that's okay, Kim. We totally get that. Totally get that.
What did I say?
Winging it. Nothing.
Oh
no,
don't worry. I was ripping on me and Brian, not you. You go right ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was like, I lost it way over my head. So we didn't know what we were doing, right? We just knew that we wanted to share Tyler's story in the hopes that maybe it would give somebody the belief or the strength to reach out and ask for help. And so we started it soon after he passed. And Mark always says the first Tyler Talk really was in the WSU football
well, it kind of
locker room, right? Yeah. We met with the players so the Tyler Talk really is, we share who Tyler is. We share what we think happened, but we don't know. It's not a graphic story. We don't share memes. We talk about Hilinski's hope a bit too, but really the story is more of sharing hope. And we hear this all the time. You remind me of my parents. What you just said, my mom and dad say to me all the time, or I see myself in Tyler. I don't want that to happen to my siblings. It's just over and over and over again. And it's incredibly humbling, but we're so grateful for it too. So the talk lasts about an hour. And afterwards, I mean, Mark has probably the strongest story recently in Alabama, right? And it's just they come up and they want to hug, they want to talk.
So it's an audiovisual presentation, right? It's PowerPoint. It's we don't do a bunch of slides with with graphics, with statistics and stuff. This is a series of stories that we've put together. And when we say it started in the locker room, was that for whatever reason, I had this urge to talk to the team, and I had no idea what I was going to say. And we were all, that was everyone
was really there, like all the moms and the parents that flew up. They said,
wow.
you know, we're doing this for you, Kim, but what can we do for Mark? And I asked Mark, I said, you know, what do you want? What can we do? And he said, I want to talk to the team. And, you know, that's what happened that night.
Yeah. And it's a weird thing, I think, because really what I ended up saying was I asked them, and again, why this matters, this could go down a rabbit hole, but not to be mad at him. And, you know, even, you know, 8 years later, you still feel that way a little bit. But if you really think about it, there's stigma in that a little bit, right? Like, what do I care what the kids think of him? You know, he's gone. What does that matter? But what I think I was holding on to, and I think the reason we're still doing this is we do it in a transparent way, right? We're not trying to break kids down. We get emotional and we do these stories and stuff, but that isn't the point, right? Everybody's lost somebody. Everybody's struggling in that audience with something. And we're not trying, you know, we're not competing in that sense. What we're trying to do is explain, this is the kind of kid he was, and let them draw the conclusion that I want them to draw, which is this if it can happen to Tyler, it can happen to anybody. Until you believe that, right? Tyler was 18 and we had this talk, and we went to see, you know, another family give a Tyler talk, and driving home, what would you talk about? Hey, Tyler, has that ever happened? You feel that way? You know, what would you do if you did? Would you have somebody, would you come to mom or me or the coaches? You could have that whole thing. And he's going to say, what? Oh, come on, Dad. I'd never do that.
Yeah.
Because you don't think you will until guess what? Then your brain's the thing under attack. The very organ we use to process and make decisions, we're now relying on to make the most important decision, which is to keep living. And, you know, Tyler was able to hide it from all of us. I mean, you guys, Coach Leach, Coach and Tyler had a great relationship. And, you know, Coach was convinced that Tyler didn't kill himself, and somebody else must have, and, you know, for a bunch of different reasons. And it was because he had that experience with Tyler where he's just give you the shirt off his back, you know, we heard from so many coaches, and most of them are trying to be nice and stuff, but, you know, first guy in the locker room, last guy out. That wasn't a motto. That wasn't like some flag you flew. That was just him. And it wasn't because he was trying to even be better at football all the time. He liked being with those guys.
Love practice.
Loved it. Yeah. Pink shirt and sand and all that. He didn't care. And right. So that presenting that story, you know, 400 or 500 times, it's relatively exact. We've changed a few things. It's pretty much the same, but the message is really clear. If you're not the one struggling, the guy next to you might be on your team, the person in your family. And so there are little things you can do to make it easier for that person to tell you that they're struggling, because they're evaluating, right? We've talked to enough survivors, non-completers, right? The unicorn of a group. They tried, they failed for whatever reason, but they intended to take their lives. And, you know, the research is pretty clear. None of them want to die. They just can't take what's going on right now. And so they don't have a way out. And you get to that point. We just want them to hear from us. Who are these idiots? You know, he's got one kid that played for the Cougs, and they're talking about, no, but it's important. Sometimes Tyler, as many friends as he had and best friends, and his brothers are best friends, he had to feel alone there, right? There's no getting around it. Right. He contemplated this. It was something that was an option for him, and he never got the help or had the conversations that were necessary for him to evaluate other options. You could make that argument. Kim and I get to the point where gone is gone and lost is lost, and how it happened isn't as important as missing him. And we've learned to, just to be really as honest as possible, and hope that that's the message that the kids hear, because it sounds sad. Oh my God, these guys lost a kid to suicide. What's this talk going to be like? And it is a little of that, but more than that, it's about hope, right? Suicide's preventable. We're getting more resources. We've got more opportunities to head this off.
There's a little bit less stigma to it than there was a few years ago as well, fortunately.
With 8 years gone by, I'm sure you've seen, and with how much you talk to student athletes, has the stigma changed that much with student athletes over the last 8 years?
It has, actually. When we've seen the pendulum swing, and really our job, as we have seen it from the very beginning, is we just try to clear out the noise. We aren't mental health professionals, but that noise, everything that these kids are going through today, you throw in COVID, social media, right? They're students before they're athletes. They just have so much going on. And what we've learned from them is, I was afraid to reach out and ask for help. I didn't, I thought my teammates would think I was weak. I thought my coach would say, you're not a leader. But we've learned, and it's through the coaches too, that they've changed their thinking. The players have changed their thinking. And if you connect all those dots, it's mind, body, and soul, they're going to be a happier player, a happier person, a better performer, on the field, on the court. And it's just, to me, it's just so, I don't know what the right word is really, but I think change is happening, and we're grateful to be a part of it. We always thought, if we ever found out what Coach Leach said, was it true? Tata was murdered. Would we still keep doing this work? And that's the true test right there. We wouldn't stop. Even if we knew that Tyler didn't pass by suicide, we've learned so much and seen so much that we just couldn't stop our work. But I have to say, when Mark did that meeting with the team, can't even tell you how emotional that is. They're all out there, lifting weights and doing what, football players do. We walk in the room and they all stop and they take a knee. And you can picture it, right? It was just so emotional. And that was the beginning of our Tyler Talks, really.
Let me ask both of you a question here real quick, because you kind of alluded to this in some of your answers tonight. These student athletes are under a tremendous amount of pressure. And it seems every day we move along that we put them under more pressure. And now we got all this NIL stuff, which is the whole reason we got the Cougar Collective. And one of the big reasons that we raise money is not only to get players, but we like to keep the kids there that we got. Player retention is a big deal. And I get there under enough stress already. They are student athletes, so there's all these academic demands as well. And then you have instability or a lack of stability because you see these players hopping from program to program to program.
Or if they don't, they get a new coach every year.
Or they're getting a new coach every year. And so now they're not able to really form those really strong relationships and bonds based in trust, where you have some people that you can go to if you're in a tough spot. What have you seen? Because you've been dealing with student athletes now in this capacity for 8 years. NIL didn't exist when Tyler was playing. Probably would have killed Coach Leach if something else didn't get him, the way that would have been. But what have you guys seen in just the change in college athletics and the added pressure, and how why we need to be a little bit more aware of these situations with student athletes?
Yeah, it's a really perceptive question, because in at least in my view, maybe Kim feels the same, but and we're pulling for all of them, right? We know that the NIL money makes a difference, and we hope and pray that that's treated as such, and so forth. But the part that you said that we know to be true, although Kim and I aren't mental health professionals, that's who we work with, right? That's who we see. Once a year we go to this big conference where all the mental health people that stand on our sidelines and watch our kids compete and are there, within
our
arms,
sports psychs,
our sports psychs, have shared with us a couple of things. And the one that sticks with me the most is they usually have a plan. You come in as a redshirt freshman, even if you're going to play, and they've got you for 3, 4, sometimes 5, 6 years. And they base a treatment plan off of that. Now they're getting kids, right? They're getting kids 6 weeks before, or
before spring ball. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it becomes a very different challenge for them to set up a program like that. Right. So, that's a definite yes in terms of what you just described. The coaches, I'm still convinced, guys. I don't know how much of this you guys talk about off air or with others, but the coaches from the beginning, the thing that hasn't changed is the head coach possesses the most amount of power in this conversation by the tone he or she sets, by the examples they lead with, how they deal with kids in public and privately, because that message gets around the locker room very quickly. And Kim said it earlier, a healthy mind, body, and soul, you're going to get the best you can out of that kid when that occurs. So if you look at it as a challenge to make improvements, right? You think about this pendulum, the pendulum swinging, it doesn't swing too far to the good, but what it did is it swung out and it grabbed onto what? Performance. Oh, okay. It's not really your mental health is fine. No, but let's teach you how to run faster. Let's see if we can, and the kids hear that and they immediately shut down. Right. So this is why we have the discrepancy. The NCAA published, right, 50% of the student athletes don't want to use on-campus mental health resources. Why is that? Because they're afraid that it's going to get back to ultimately to the guy that changes now their pocketbook. Yeah. Not only that, but the other piece you probably already hear or talk about as well is the same families that were looking, for stipend checks, right, to keep their households running and stuff from these athletes are the same ones going, oh, but the left tackle at Boise got another extra $100,000. What's wrong with you? That is, if you can just fast forward into that world for a minute, wow. Now you've got kids that are tripling down on the amount of contribution and still being nervous, worried, embarrassed that they're not doing enough.
NIL money. It's incredibly.
A lot of that, but
I'll add a little bit to the mix too right now, where I'll just say in Pullman right now, and by no fault of anybody who's there, but you've got kids who are either brand new to Pullman, like they're still making their beds there while starting spring ball, or they've all of their friends are gone, like everybody in their position group has graduated or transferred,
right?
And I have nothing but respect for Coach Moore and everybody, but that's a new coaching staff. That's a new person going, what does this person think of me? Where do I fit? There's not that relationship of trust. To me, that just feels so stressful for anybody who's not predisposed to mental illness, right? Like, and so it's a very real thing to think about. These are kids going through it. So I guess the question becomes, and you mentioned it with the stat of 50% of these kids don't want to use on-campus mental health. If I'm a kid who is struggling, what's your advice to me right now? And I don't want to let anybody know. What's your advice to me?
So we have to be really careful around that answer, right? Because we get it all the time. So after these Tyler Talks, we spend as much time as they want. Sometimes the kids, when we first started, a lot of them played with Tyler. They played 7-on-7 leagues in California, we played a bunch of kids that he was playing in the Pac-10, 12. And so they all knew him. And so they'd come up and, these are great kids, right? You guys know them. I mean, there's always a bad apple once in a while we get through, but for the most part, hardest
Bill knows all the bad apples.
I deal with all the bad apples, but we've been really good in that department for the last few years. So
sorry to interrupt.
No, but they're terrific kids and they want to do the right thing. So afterwards, instead of a question and answer, they'll come up and say, hey, I've never told anybody this, but I lost my brother, 10 years ago to suicide. And I've just been embarrassed to say it. And listening to you talk about Tyler, I want to use that story in my own life. And I don't want to get up on stage and talk about it and all that. But so there are questions. So we get a lot of that kind of stuff where they just unload, which is great. When they ask what should I do? The staging of all that is, who's your most trusted adult? So Kim started this at the very beginning. We don't do these Tyler Talks without a mental health practitioner in the room, right? So out of 450, maybe half a dozen times we've had to stop and care for one of the athletes that just couldn't, it's just too much on her.
Just hit them so hard.
And so we want to prioritize, obviously, their health, but it sounds so easy. And I know through Tyler's story and others, it's the hardest part to just start it. And so what do we say? Kim gets the end, right? I do all the storytelling, and at the end, she reminds them that, you've got a story now. You can use Tyler. Tyler would be honored if you used his story. Tell him about Tyler. Tell him you saw this podcast. Tell him you were listening to something. And this quickly goes to, by the way, what we tell the parents. Please, if they come up to you and want to talk about this story, the worst thing you can do is go, oh, yeah, that kid. Yeah, I remember. What about it?
Yeah, mental health.
That's the last time you're ever going to hear that child ask for help or talk about. So they're testing, right, all the time. But we want you to talk. You could be. Kim's referring to the first story, and I won't waste the time on, not waste the time, but tell that long story. But you want to make sure that the kids understand they don't have to diagnose themselves. Like, am I sick enough to ask for help? Or I guess I'm not suicidal like Tyler was. Yeah, but you can't get out of bed. You're late for practice. You're not eating, all the things that kind of go with that. And until you get that off your chest, you're going to be hiding it. And the bigger that pile goes, the harder it is to hide, but the more work you put on it. And it's a tremendous, to us, we see it. And that's the struggle. We understand not everybody's suicidal and experiences suicidal ideation, but they can have dramatic life improvements by talking about their mental health and getting help for it if they should need it.
And I think thank you for saying that. And I just want to reiterate, no matter where you are, whether you're a student, whether you're an adult, whether you got lots of money, whether you got no money, there are ample resources in almost every community, and just figuring out how to access those.
Well, and these problems don't discriminate across any community. No, these problems are prevalent in all communities, no matter how you break down the demographics.
And I love what you said there about, it doesn't have to be suicide for you to lose life to depression, anxiety, or mental health. You can lose quality. We all know people who suffer from mental illness who never take care of it, and they don't die by suicide, but they take
years off their life.
They lose life to addiction. They lose life to just ruined relationships and things like that. And there are so many options nowadays. And I got to say, and I just want to commend you both. The spiritual jujitsu of taking something so awful and making something so powerful out of it is just breathtaking to me. And I know you speak with humility about the effect that you have on people, but 450 of these conversations with, 10 to a couple hundred kids in the room, you've saved lives. You've saved many, many, many lives at this point. And it's just, the work that you're doing is so important.
So why don't they put in a plug for
that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, great segue.
Tell me a little bit about this costs you money to go do. So let's talk about some of the costs involved.
Well, and most importantly, how Cougs can get in and help you guys out, because this is an amazing cause.
Yeah. I'll tell you, probably the greatest expense other than travel and getting to places. And, we do it as cheap as we can. Because the donations and the donors, their money, their $3 donations mean, I can't even tell you how much to us. But the biggest expense really is what we created. It'll be 7 years this year in October is Student Athlete Mental Health Week. And we started it, just with an idea. And Mark reached out to most of the people in the SEC because our youngest son, Ryan, was playing for the Gamecocks. Started out with a dozen schools, and all the ADs said, we don't know what it's going to be, but we are in. So what we do is we create these boxes with College Hill, which is based in Coleman, and we love
it is.
And you go to College Hill and pack those yourself, right?
I do.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And so I'll be there in May, and then I go back and I go in May because it's Tyler's birthday. So I hike Kamiak Butte, and then I see College Hill, my people there that I love so much. And then I go back in August to pack those boxes. But these boxes, we prepare them in the beginning. Mark and I would sit here in our living room and we'd count out, helmet decals and lapel pins. And I'd go, wait, you're talking to me. How many did I just say? 150. So then eventually College Hill stepped in and they said, let us take that away from you. We're going to create these beautiful boxes. I would buy them at Michael's and just put stickers on them. And so in those boxes are, the helmet decals, lapel pins, temporary tattoos, hair ties, cheer ribbon. It's just our wristbands, on and on. And it's a way for us to say to our student athletes, you matter. Please take time this week to reflect on that. So we send these boxes to the schools. All 50 states are involved. We've even got Alaska in. And it's what the campuses do with that week. They bring in emotional support dogs, speakers. They have meals together. They do arts and crafts, yoga on the football field. And it's all just focused on supporting the mental health of our student athletes. And that's really what I think we did our life.
Yeah, we said, Hallmark has a day for everybody else. Why can't we, for our student athletes, and sort of ran with it. But your question's a good one, because 17 boxes of bands is one number. 300 of those boxes is a different number. And, guys, we do this without any, not without any help. We have tremendous amount of help, but we don't advertise it. We're not there's something going on in the state of Washington I'm really excited about that we'll have to share with you later. But think of it, from a small entity like us, what we've tried to do is find different businesses in the world that would sponsor, that would be part of this, that would make this a little easier, which would allow us, what are there, 25,000 high schools that have sports programs and football across the country. We've got 300 of them. Now they're big one, they're all NCAA 1, 2, and 3, NAIA, junior college, now some high schools. And the story, Kim's giving you a tiny version, of course, but the stories and the posts that they put up, it's really a way to just get comfortable saying things like mental health and suicide and how you doing, and role plays and all the other stuff that goes with it. And we want to make that opportunity happen for all of our kids, student athletes. So yes, how do I say this? Not everybody's a good sponsor for this, right? They mean well.
I can tell you this: the Cougs and the Pacific Northwest have been incredibly generous.
Yeah. And no, you guys saved our lives at the beginning. Yeah. No question. I think
probably a lot went into that, but just so everyone who's watching or watching on replay, we've got a link down in the description box. Click on it. Give to Hilinski's Hope. This is a very worthwhile mission. I'm so glad to hear that Cougs back this. We always say as Cougs, all we got is each other, but all we need is each other. And so put a plug in. Since you guys don't like to plug it, there's a link in the description box. Help them out.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for being here, and thanks again for the work you do. I just can't speak enough about how impressed I am with you and your courage to be able to just go and talk and make so many awesome things happen in the wake of something so awful. So just sending love your way. And
we are so happy to have you in the Cougar family. You don't know how much it means to us.
Well, back at you guys, because that carries a lot of weight, and we're, we continue to be grateful for that, because that, as I mentioned, that was one of the things that we lost, and you're so busy, the list beneath Tyler is long, but it doesn't matter. But these are the things that you realize were such a big part of it. Yeah. And so, yes, we got mental health stuff on, Kim's got her stuff on, and we've always felt comfortable in it, but we're doing it more, and it's helping us, have those conversations and do it without sort of falling apart, each time.
Do you guys need some new Coug swag? Because we can send. There's some new good Coug swag out. Would that?
I have a whole closet dedicated to my Coug. And it's all Tyler's clothes too, and all of mine. Some of Mark's, some of the kids, and I wear it all the time. All the time, and I love it, and it feels good. It feels right, and it feels like I'm home.
Yeah.
Well, that is. Listen, you will always have a home in our family. You know that.
Awesome.
Well, we couldn't do this without you guys. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a great night. Thank you again for joining us.
Bye. Thank you.
Yep, take care. Go Cougs.
What awesome people.
That was powerful, man.
I've had the opportunity to speak with them.
I had to fight back tears a couple times during that. I'm not going to lie. That takes a ton of courage on their part to do that. The question
you asked, I thought was just like, what's your engine on this kind of thing? Because they're doing this, but then imagine talking about it 450 times and always being in it. They've made a lot of relive it that many times. They've made so much good out of that, but it has to take a toll on you. And it's just, I'm so impressed with them.
The courage, the intestinal fortitude, what other moniker you want to come up for, what it would take to get and do what they have done is truly remarkable.
Yeah.
And I think they brought up something else really good too. This coaching carousel that we've created now too. Apparently, and I'm not trying to read between the lines, but obviously there are some coaches that would be better about this stuff and some coaches that wouldn't be good about it, right?
Yes,
obviously.
Of course.
And these coaches don't really have a time to fail or grow and have a learning curve themselves and grow as coaches, because if they fail, they get fired. And if they succeed, they get hired away.
Well, I want, but I want the people listening and watching to think, these are mostly adults. These are mostly people in their 30s and 40s, right? And think about how, if you were struggling with mental health, how likely would you be to tell your boss, who's investing money on you being the best lawyer, the best salesperson, the best,
especially if you got 3 other guys on the depth chart that are hungry for that job.
Like, how likely would you? So just to be able to,
especially if you got money riding on it too. Think about that. It's one thing if it's like, I'm going to go from being 1 on the depth chart to 3 on the depth chart.
Yeah.
But if that all of a sudden costs you an extra $150,000 a year, especially if you come from a family where that money is necessary for people just to live, which is a situation with a lot of student athletes, and you couple with all the pressure we put on student athletes anyways, and then all the pressure just comes with being an 18 to 20-year-old kid in America today in 2026 with social media and all the other garbage out there. Think about that.
So I just want to throw out one thing, look, if anybody here is ever struggling or knows somebody who's struggling, like I said, there's a million resources in every community. The easiest one to remember is 988. That's a suicide prevention hotline. It's basically the 911 for suicide prevention. And most cities in America have it and have access to it. So if you're sitting there and it's 3 a.m. and you're not able to convey your feelings to somebody, you can pick up the phone and a complete stranger can be there.
But a pro on the other end.
But just give yourself that. I mean, and it's so much easier to say, just do it. He articulated it so well. It's when your mind is the decision-making tool, and that's the thing that's sick. It's hard.
It is hard.
But just please pick up the phone and call 988 if you're ever in that situation.
And listen, everyone tuning in live and who's going to watch on replay, remember, we got a link down in the description box. Let's help the Hilinskis out. And in many ways, Cougs, it is the best way to honor Tyler. He was one of us. He will always be one of us. That game he had against Boise State was fantastic. Even Falk talked about it a couple of weeks ago.
What else? You know what else Falk said in that interview? He's like, we were talking about mind strength stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I wasn't about to tell, my coaches that I needed mind strength training.
Right.
That's mind strength training.
Mind strength, trying to better myself, not even trying to get myself out of the depths of a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Just trying to advance me as a human being and become a better person. Yeah.
So we're going to reset a little bit, Brandon. I'm going to ask that we play a couple commercials. Let's kick it to commercial for a little bit.
We'll get our next guest on.
And we'll get our next guest on. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
We put him on the spot.
Awesome opportunity. Happy to be at WSU. I'm excited for this. This is a blessing for sure.
Whew.
We've been doing this for a couple years now.
Massive Cougar fans.
We support this because when the football team flourishes, all Cougs flourish.
This is nice. This is slick. I appreciate it. I'm happy to play here and represent WSU and and represent you guys. Valley GMC in Auburn. We are professional grade.
Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, I definitely heard that.
When Paddock wanted to help raise money for the Cougar Collective, we thought, why not give them a Cougar Collector?
Hold on. Let me try something. Yeah! Woo!
Handmade by Paddock right here in Pullman. Old Crimson Legendary Cocktail isn't just a drink. It's a canned vodka cocktail that magically turns every weekend into, well, Mom's weekend.
From across the state to the hills of the Palouse, Old Crimson forges ahead, undeterred, underestimated. Created by Cougs for Cougs. Old Crimson, when the sports world evolves at a pace like never before. You may be asking, how do we help our teams in these uncharted times? It's simple. Drink more beer. Old Crimson Legendary Lager. Proceeds benefit Cougar Collective. Do your part.
All right.
We are back.
We are back. Welcome back to Collectively Crimson.
Now, we owe a big thank you to our next guest because she's been hanging out for a minute or two. We told her to get here a little early.
I know. We told her to get here a little early, but I got to be honest with you. That last interview was so important.
Of course.
We just had to do it the way it was going to go.
Of course.
But I do appreciate her patience. But if you knew her brother, you would know that she probably has a lot of patience.
Who do we have here?
Well, this is Pat Thompson.
Let's bring Pat on.
Let's bring Pat on.
Pat, are you awake?
Hey, you guys. How's it going?
Welcome to Collectively Crimson.
Good to be here.
Great to have you.
Great to have you.
Hey, you're a proud graduate of Evergreen High School also, aren't you?
That's right. That's right.
Highline School District, just like me.
Yeah.
Now here's the
right? Is that right?
A Maroneer. That's right. I am a Maroneer kid. Yep. But here's the best part. What is Evergreen High School's fight song?
Oh, yes. It's the same.
I actually know this one.
It's the only fight song worth fighting for.
The only one that matters.
It's also Mount Si's High School.
Oh, is that right? Mount Si uses that too?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Evergreen High School, kind of out in the North Burien area. Some people call it White Center out there. Very famous quarterback of ours graduated from there, but their fight song is the WSU fight song.
Yeah. And it's always, was that always the case or was it after? I mean, we could say after Jack, but after you went there.
I think it's always been the case.
It's always been that.
Really?
Yeah, okay. We all play in the same stadium out there in the what was then Seamont League, but this is the Highline School District. We all play at Highline Stadium. A real piece of crap stadium out there at Highline High School. But
they're remodeling the school. Are they remodeling the stadium too?
I don't know. A lot of knees been blown out on that stadium.
There's a few renovations happening over there, but Evergreen is new. It's done now. So I don't know.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, tell us a little bit about being the executive director of Yes and what you're doing now and all the great things that you're doing to help out the community.
Well, I work for an organization called the Yes Foundation of White Center, and we started it 25 years ago. We are 25 years old. There's a few of us got together and just felt like we needed to, we wanted to provide excellent programming for youth and children in the neighborhood. And so when we started, we were focused on White Center, and now we've grown, to be more White Center, Burien, Highline School District area. So we've got stuff going on all over the area. And we have a Jack Thompson sports camp during the summer.
Oh, I didn't know he's got a camp.
Yeah.
So you negotiated an NIL deal with Jack to put his name on the camp.
I told my brother we would sell it to any if we could. I asked Robbie Tobeck if he wanted to buy it. It could be the Robbie Tobeck.
Good idea.
Camp. I tried to get Robbie to get it, but he wasn't taken.
It wasn't worth the investment.
No.
He did the math on it. Yeah.
Pat, one of my first jobs when I was old enough to work was at the White Center Field House there.
Yeah.
I worked for the King County Parks Department.
Nice.
Right there, the big
When
log
was
cabin.
that? When,
It was a long time ago, Pat. It'd be about 1985, 1986. I was in high school. I was working there, summer jobs. Yeah.
Well, now
yeah,
Pat's
the
got
kids
some.
call it the log cabin now.
Yep.
It's still, oh, so it's still there.
Oh, it's like a historical. So they built these field houses. There's one down in Des Moines too. Actually, there's one over in Bellevue also that's built like this. And they built these gigantic log homes, like 2-story, 3-story log homes, but they're called field houses. They have basketball courts on the inside, stuff like that. They're rec centers.
Okay.
Yeah. King County Parks Department operates the ones down where Pat and I grew up.
Oh, right on.
I know that, like, I know the White Center log cabin is a historical landmark, so they can't do a whole lot of changes to it. Is that the same way with the one
because
in Des Moines?
Bill worked there?
Yeah, it was because I worked there.
Yeah.
Well, that and they renamed it the Jack Thompson Rec Center. Hey, let me ask you this. What was it like growing up with Jack, and how annoying was he?
We talked to him yesterday, and he was a little bit nervous that I was coming on today.
I can see that.
Well, so if Jack's tuning in, we're going to definitely ask you to tell a real embarrassing story about Jack. But for real, what was it like growing up? And by the way, I knew, I got the pleasure of meeting your mom and dad. Right? Because you guys have been, our families have been connected since I was a little boy. Yep. So I knew Pat's parents. I met them, been with them many times. Great people.
Yeah,
great people.
Well, Pat, can you tell me a little bit? Because what I really like, you've got some great stories of what White Center was like when you moved there. Because I mean, that White Center, you've lived there most of your life, and it's changed quite a bit, right?
Right. So actually, my parents bought a home in White Center in 1962, and so Jack would have been, I don't know, six or seven at that time.
Yeah.
And the 4 older siblings of mine were born at that point. I was actually born in 64. So when I was born, we had already lived in White Center, and
Gotcha.
Yes, it has changed a lot. It's an incredible community. It was a great place to grow up, and it's a great place to live right now. And then I know, Brian, you had come to Dubsy and had coffee with us months ago. I know that, but we live in the house. My sister and I live in the house where we were raised, and which is just kind of blocks away from where you and I had coffee that day. So we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot, and like I said earlier, Evergreen got a full remodel, so it's this beautiful new school. The food bank in White Center also got a full remodel, and then not too long in January we opened a community center in White Center called the Hub, and next to it is an apartment complex with 76 living units, affordable housing, and that's where my office is there, but more to the point is we have a recording studio that is about to open. So
sweet,
love it, Brian, if you wanted to come down and check it out.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll bring Brandon with me because he actually knows what he's talking about. That's why the show's running so smoothly.
That's why we're going
tonight.
Smooth tonight. Brian's not on the board tonight.
But, okay, I think that's really interesting though. So you work in nonprofit. You've got a sister who's a minister. Is that correct?
Right. That's right.
And then Jack is such a central part of the WSU community. What is it about community? Is that something you get from your parents? Is that where does that come from?
Yeah, we've thought about that a lot. We've reflected on that, and I think it is our culture. It's just this Samoan Pacific Island culture is all about community, and so we were just raised this way. And I don't recall that my parents ever sat us down and said, "Hey, we really want you to be about community." I feel like it was one of those things that was, as they say, caught not taught. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it was just sort of watching, how my parents had a commitment to spend their money locally. They always sort of made sure their dollars were local. Right. And
sounds a lot like Cougs First.
Yeah, totally. He would have loved Cougs First. But, I think, and then we were very connected with our church, and then with the Samoan community there, when when my parents got here, there were only, I think, 3 or 4 families that were here. And so we were all very tight knit. Like the Pritchards, I know you've heard about the Pritchard family. The Pritchards was one of those families. And we were together every weekend. We did luau's. We did luau's in Pullman for for the football team many times. And so we just kind of grew up with that community mentality.
It does seem to be very prevalent in all the Polynesian cultures. I've noticed that family and community is really everything in those cultures, which I think is very endearing, very fantastic.
Right.
Well, now you went to you weren't at school at the same time as Jack, right? You were just far enough behind him. Is that accurate?
That's correct. My sister Lena, she was a freshman the year that Jack went out, so they just missed each other. And then I was there. I was there like 5 years after Jack had left. But I went for 2 years and I quit for 4 years. And then I went
Sounds
back.
like a real coug there. Yeah. That's
then I went back.
That's real coug stuff.
I told my dad, I said, Dad, I want to go back to school. And he said, that's great. We spent the money. And so when I went back, took me a little bit longer to graduate. So I graduated from high school in 81. And then I was done in Pullman in 91. And I came home and went to my 10-year reunion. And my dad said, good thing you can go and you can hear all about how your friends are dentists and lawyers and doctors. Well, that's pretty optimistic. That's a pretty optimistic view about my graduating class, but I get the point.
Your dad did have a sense of harsh realism to him. I've noticed he was.
Yes, he
like
was
I
very
said, that harsh
direct
realism, but that's the way Jack Sr. was. Yeah.
My brother.
When did you? Oh, I know. Okay, so it's always funny because Jack is somebody who's so revered in our community. Yeah. He's big brother to you. So like, when did you realize, hey, he might be kind of a big deal around here?
I was going to ask the same question.
Well, he was never a big deal at our house. Just
good answer.
Mostly because my parents kept it real. My dad was not, my dad did not suffer fools at all, and so we all knew our place. And but we loved coming over. I mean, I think we started coming over to Pullman when I was in 5th grade, and so it was just that Pullman that road to Pullman, being on campus, going to football games was just ingrained in me. And I think, we knew we would wait by the locker room door, and Jack was always the last guy to come out, and it took me a while to figure out, it's because the newspaper guys are in there talking to him. But, I think, as I said, he had to be pretty humble at our house. And growing up in a community like White Center, I mean, same thing. You just, people are people, right? I remember, like,
did he ever get a big head on him though?
Outside the big Samofro that he had rolling in high school and college, because he had the big afro going.
But did he ever get a big head on you?
Did he ever get big head on you?
A little bit.
It's hard to answer that question just because so much of it is kind of embedded in my culture, right? Because he would have had a big head if he wasn't a football player, because that's how our culture works. It's like there's a seniority system. I'm the youngest, so there's a seniority system that I would have been oppressed by anyway, right?
Oppressed. There we go.
In addition to that, he's a man, and so the male people are always sort of, whatever. But outside of that, no, I wouldn't say that he had a big head. He was super confident, and he'd tell you what to do. I remember one time
he tells me what to do too.
Right. But he comes by it honestly. I will say that, Brian. But I remember like this, he wanted me to clean his bedroom, right? And I must have been like 8 or 9. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Because he's my big brother, and sure, I'll do that. And so I cleaned his room, and then he came back in the room, and he told me that I didn't know how to make a bed, right? And so he undid the bed, and then he tried to teach me what hospital corners are. Are you just cracking up? Like, throwing Samoans trying to teach somebody else how to make hospital corners. Like, I didn't even know what that was. And why do you know that, right? So anyway, in the middle of that, my dad comes in the room, and my dad says, "What's going on?" And Jack said, "I'm trying to teach her how to make a bed." And my dad looks at me and like, "You don't know how to make a bed?" I go, "He's not paying me anything. I'm just in here doing this because he wanted to me. I'm not getting paid anything." And he goes, and my dad looked at me and said, "Get out of here." And then he gave it to my brother about, why don't you clean your own room or something like that.
Sounds about right. Sounds about
But he
right.
was
Well,
pretty
you've got-
confident. Yeah.
You've got Huskies in your family too, right? Like, it's not just a Coug family.
Yeah, my sister.
You like the shame that came over.
Do we need to get you in the support group?
I don't know if this is a story that you're comfortable sharing, and if not, we can change the subject. But Cassie relayed a story that you told to her about a dinner guest who came over once, or was bringing over, like it was a girlfriend or something. That was somebody's girlfriend.
Yeah. So the thing about Jack that I don't know, people don't understand until they've been met with it head on, right? Is that this guy has no sense of humor about the Huskies at all. You guys,
It's not an act. It's not an act. When the guy says purple's the only color you can smell, like, he's literally mad in that moment. Yes,
so that's one of the many reasons we love him.
Yes. And so, like, I tell people when I'm, when we're gonna meet, when I've got somebody with me and we're gonna meet Jack, whatever, I warn them, look, this little thing you do when you rib me about being a Husky and Coug thing, that doesn't fly with him. So don't do it. I go, he'll hate you. Like, he'll hate you. Okay. It'll be done. You'll be done. And so some people believe me, and then some people look at me like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I'm for real right now. It would really save me a lot of time if you just believe me right here. So my nephew, who is mine and Jack's sister's son, he brought his girlfriend to the house for Christmas, who she was a student at the UW at the time. And, this was her first time meeting our family, being with our family. And she's a nice girl. I knew her. She's a really nice girl. But my nephew told her, look, you're going to meet my uncle. Don't do any of that Husky thing. He has no patience for it. It's Christmas Eve, by the way, guys. Yeah. And so she's like, okay. And my nephew's like, no, for real. Don't bring it up. Just, it'd be great if you just didn't.
Just say you go to Seattle U or something like that. Play it off that way.
She's nervous because she's meeting her boyfriend's family. It's Christmas Eve. And then Jack Thompson walks in with his family, and he does that thing. He looks her, directly in the eye and says, "Hi, nice to meet you." And, and she says her name, and he said, Are you a student? Are you working? And she said, "No, I'm a student." "Where do you go to school?" She goes, "I go to the UW." And then she goes, "Go Dogs." I'm like, oh my God. And all of us went,
really?
No.
This is why they put warning labels on lawnmowers
Exactly.
too. It's for people like that.
And he was just so serious. And then the rest of the night, he just didn't engage at all. He just sort of
You just gave her the silent treatment.
He was on the other side of the Christmas tree the rest of the night, right? And so I don't know, like afterwards, she felt the frost, right? And my nephew said, "What are you doing? I told you."
Yeah, fair warning. Fair warning.
She said, "I panicked." And he's like, "Oh my God!" Like, my nephew was
notice
so,
that when the Husky panics, they immediately got to get braggadocious. It's immediately what they go to.
It's what they go to.
It's what they do.
But like, I love that story for so many reasons, because like, your brother's one of the nicest guys I know. You meet a lot of former NFL guys, and there's ego that comes with it and stuff like that. He's never it's always just an easy conversation with him, even before I knew him.
You don't bring up the University of Washington.
But that turns and it gets dark fast. For those of you who hear Jack speak and he'll say something about the Purple Swamp Castle or something like that. Like
it's
it is not an act.
It's legit.
And I would say that the collective Cougs First, a lot of Coug Nation is just like a lot of the fuel is basically Jack's hatred of Montlake.
Well,
it's pretty awesome.
And this is only speculation. And Jack, you can text me afterwards and tell me if I'm right or wrong. But Pat, you may even remember this. But so my dad found Jack Thompson at a junior high school football game in 9th grade. He was playing for, I think it was Cascade Junior High or whatever it was out there. And they were undefeated, unscored upon, playing against another team. And my dad's friend Chuck Klingon had said, "Hey, you got to come check out this kid. He's playing. He's a big Samoan kid. He's a fantastic quarterback." And my dad goes out and watches him. Jack was like my dad describes it, he was like 5 for 20 that night, but that's because every pass was bouncing off the wide receivers' face masks and hitting them right between the numbers. And they couldn't catch it and stuff. And my dad used to wear trench coats back in the day. Always had a cigar with him. He walked out to the field and he literally says to Jack, "Kid, someday you're going to look really good in crimson and gray."
I love that.
Okay. And Jack is kind of like, "Who's this clown?" Right. Well, then my dad, and he did this with Mike Utley as well. He made friends with Jack's parents, which was easy to do because they were wonderful people. But the Huskies had always figured, well, he's a King County kid.
Yeah.
He's going to be a dog. Right. Mm-hmm. And if I recall the story correctly, there was a coach visit that was set up where Mr. and Mrs. Thompson had made a lot of nice arrangements, and Coach Jim Owens was going to come out and do his recruiting visit.
Well, I think your dad took the day off too, didn't he?
Yep.
Like that's part of the story. Like,
yeah. This is a big deal for the Thompson family, right? And this is Jim Owens, coach of the Washington Huskies, coming for his official recruit visit, and he no-showed. And so if you know Jack, just like Pat, and the sense of family that they have and the sense of respect that they had for their parents and their elders and things like that, that level of disrespect to Jack's parents is something that I think has resonated with them and hasn't ever left them since. And so I think that hatred comes from a very legitimate, real place.
I know. But here's the best part, though. And I'm sorry that Jack had to experience that in that moment. As a Coug fan, though, I am very grateful.
Thank you, Coach Owens.
Thank
you very much.
Coach Owens. But like, think about, I would just say, like, all right, take away what he did on the field and everything like that. But I just think about what he's been able to propel as a community member.
Well, think about what all the Thompsons have been able to do, too, because you take a look at what Pat's doing and how she's helping the community that she grew up in. I think that's fantastic. Listen, if people want to help out the Yes Foundation, sounds like a fantastic, worthwhile cause, especially if you're a Southwest King County person like you and I are, where we grew up out there with airplane noise everywhere. How can they help you out?
Well, I see that our website just went up on screen. That would be great. You can hit us up on there. We have our auction is coming up in May. So if anyone's interested in wanting to come to an auction, it's really a lot of fun. We do it at Highline Community College this year.
Okay.
And then
what's the date on that?
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
And would love to see people there. Also, if anyone wants to donate some Cougar baskets, that's awesome. One year we did a competition of baskets between the Cougar and the Husky for this auction, right? And so, you bid on the Coug basket, or the Huskies bid on the Husky basket, and then whoever, however much money,
I like that.
Whichever basket brought in the most money got the big props, right? And of course, we won. Of course, right?
Of course.
And the man that bought it, that won it, was he was a friend of he was the father of a good friend. His name was Mike Danielson, and John Danielson. He got it. He went to the basket, pulled the hat out. And by the way, I mean, he's retired. He was retired at that time. He pulled the baseball hat out. He was walking back to his seat. He was so happy. And then somebody said, somebody arrogantly said, like he wouldn't know it. He said, "Won't you sing the fight song?" And John sang the fight song. Because that's how we are, right? That's how we are.
That's right. Look, we've got enough Cougs. We've got enough former players watching. I think we're going to commit to a collectively Crimson Cougar collective basket for your evening.
Absolutely.
We'll get some cool swag and
we're
some
going to put Tim
merch
Brandel in charge of that.
Oh, he's Tim Brandel and Matt Mira. We could just assign them. They're all over.
You guys are assigned to that task right now.
Thanks to Marco Polo gift cards.
Well, hey, Pat,
before
you guys let me go,
yeah, please.
I would just want to say my brother overcame that situation with my nephew's girlfriend. They got to be pretty cool with each other. She understood.
Cool with each other now.
The reason they got to be cool with each other is because she got it. She was like, okay.
You only have to learn that lesson once.
That's exactly right. You only go down that road once.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you for
Thanks so much for joining us. And thanks for being a great Coug.
Thank you.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Thanks, Pat.
Fun show tonight.
That was a very meaningful show tonight.
Family show tonight.
It was a family show tonight. We haven't dropped a single profanity yet tonight.
No, we won't. But we still have, I do want to thank everybody, but also we've still got to hear from the general.
Yeah. And I got it. For those of you who joined us a little late, we reached out to the general. We told him that the Hilinski family was coming on. And I said, hey, listen, if you could do us a message that really talks about Cougs, looking out for Cougs, that would be really awesome. And I got to be honest with you. I think the general knocked it out of the park. And I'm telling all of you right now, if you're watching live, grab a Kleenex for this one. This one is good. We give you General Moore.
To Cougar Nation, when the dawn breaks over the rolling wheat fields of the Palouse, there is a moment, just a breath, where the earth itself seems to glow crimson and gold. Those hills are not flat. They are not easy. They rise and fall in long, patient waves, shaped by wind, time, and endurance. They teach you something if you stay long enough. They teach you that greatness is not built overnight. Every harvest begins months before the first stalk breaks the soil. The farmer works in quiet. The roots grow unseen. The storms come. The wind bends the crop but does not break it. And when autumn arrives, what once looked like empty land becomes something abundant and powerful. That, my friends, is Washington State. That is Pullman. That is what it means to be a Coug. But make no mistake, harvest is coming. When that crimson helmet runs out beneath the lights, it carries more than a logo. It carries the patience of those fields, the resilience of the wind that never stops blowing, the pride of a place that builds men the hard way. Opponents will look at us and see geography. They will see remoteness. They will see rolling hills and assume softness. They will learn otherwise. Because those hills are not gentle. They are carved by pressure, and so are we. This season is not about proving we belong. It is about reminding the nation what grows in this soil. Cougar Nation. When you look at those wheat fields, remember, every wave in that landscape was shaped over time, and every wave crashes eventually. The Palouse does not bow. Neither do we. Go Cougs. Sincerely, General Kirby Moore.
Dude, how was that from the general?
It was good.
That was solid.
It was a great show. I had a lot of
we did.
This was a meaningful show tonight.
This was a good send off because as you and I were talking off camera, I get to hop on a flight tonight at 12:30 in the morning and go down to Dallas, Texas. So this is actually some good mojo.
12:30 tonight. I'm
some
pretty
good mojo to send myself off to Texas. I think this is. I honestly think the interview with the Hilinskis was the best thing we've done on this podcast so far.
Look, we talk a lot about X's and O's. We talk about raising money for NIL. We talk about a lot of stuff. At the core of all of this, it's community.
It is.
And God, I couldn't think of people who just exemplify that more than the folks we had on tonight.
Good show, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
you want to give a shout out to our boy on the board here who actually kept it from being an unadulterated disaster tonight.
Yeah, if you notice, you could hear things tonight. The right video ran at the right time. I'd like to thank Brandon Bowman, who's on the board
tonight.
Good work,
Brandon. Thank you.
And just keeping me relaxed.
Remember, there's links down below for you to join the 1890 Club. If you are not part of the Cougar Collective, as I mentioned earlier, what's up with that? Get in right now. We'll be back next week. We're going to do this again next week.
Sounds good.
Most importantly, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.